Good day peeps, my name is Scripps and welcome back to another speed paint. This time around we're doing more Hollow Knight. In the last video we did some more sappy, randy stuff about my channel and how I was celebrating the fact that I reached 600 subscribers, which, you know, I still think is awesome, but we need to move on to that and we need to get back into the more stupid, silly, and at the same time fun to make character designs that I usually make with these sort of videos. But in case you're potentially new to this channel, or you just for some reason don't know this, then I'm a person who likes Hollow Knight a lot. I like Hollow Knight a ton, and therefore it's almost become a custom on this channel for me to do different character designs for the game. And more specifically for the upcoming game Hollow Knight Silksong. So, you know, this custom trend slash series or whatever might come to an end when this game actually comes out at some point. But until that apocalypse day finally comes, then I'll have fun making concept art and different characters that I could try to make fit into the universe as much as possible. Because that's the goal of this. I don't want to just create Hollow Knight OCs or something that would go on DeviantArt, even though that would also be fun. Fun to mess around with the art style in that way. Then the goal of this is to make characters that could actually deliberately fit into the universe and could just be put in the game immediately without much to kind of stop it from doing so. This means that not only have I thought of different palette and different design and how to make a character unique or anything, but I've actually sort of made up a tiny story with how the encounter between Hornet and this character would actually happen in the game if it existed in the game. Kinda like how I pointed out in some of the previous speed paints that like the bell butterfly thing was supposed to be a boss, and it was going to be a boss that you fought after it caught on fire. So you kind of had some context for that, and the same with my more hidden secret character, the secret boss character design that had like the instrument, a hi-hat on their head instead of like this traditional Asian straw hat, and then they would kind of like be playing innocent and you would encounter them and then they'd reveal their true form. And there's a lot of context that I like to give to these sort of things, and this speed paint is no different, because this time I wanted to think a little bit out of the box, but I still wanted to give it some sort of contextual story. So the place that Hornet would interact with this character or meet this character for the first time would be in the new and extremely interesting looking, almost water like coral reef level from the Silksong trailer. I have no idea how this level is gonna work. I don't think it's like a deliberate water level. I think it's just a water themed level, because from what I saw from the trailer, then Hornet still moves all the same. But I still thought that even though there might not be water in there, then this could be a cool point to actually maybe mix in some slightly aquatic ideas. Something that we don't usually get a lot of options with when it comes to Hollow Knight. And while it doesn't all of a sudden make it okay to like include fish designs or anything like that, then I still think that I could go for something like a shrimp or maybe a lobster design. Which is actually exactly what I did. And it's kind of fun to stray away from the bugs, because while I do like to draw bugs, then I also like drawing other stuff. So even though a lobster and a shrimp might be kind of visually similar to a bug, then it's still kind of a refreshing, like a refreshing take on the whole perspective of making these designs. So I'm happy that I went with that decision. But now that you actually have an idea of what kind of animal this is, then I don't want to head on too much and explain the design any more than this. I actually want to get a little bit into the story, because I thought that the way this character interaction could happen would be that Hornet would be walking around the level, or maybe be walking into a boss arena, where she would see this little shrimp thing be stuck in some coral, or like some coral with some holes in it, and they would kind of like have gotten themselves stuck. And he would kind of look like a silly character, a very dumb character. Or maybe like a comic relief character, kind of like the way that Sode the Mighty is a comic relief character, because he looks like he's stuck, he looks helpless, and then he might even be like begging or pleading for Hornet's help, so she could potentially like get him out of the coral he's stuck in. And there would be multiple ways that she would be able to do this, or like I've thought of multiple ideas. I haven't come up with quite the one that I'm like pinpoint happy with, but I thought it would be kind of cool if he was sitting in the background of like a boss fight, or you interacted with him first and then a boss came down on top of them, and he would be stuck throughout the whole fight, and then maybe after the fight or during the fight he would break out, or Hornet would help him break out of the coral skeleton. And that will basically be the quick and short of how these characters would get to meet each other. Maybe you guys can help me flesh out a bit more, or maybe you guys can come up with a completely different story. I want to hear you guys' opinion on it, and it's like an interactive character design process, so I want to hear you guys' opinion on how I could use this character and implement them in the universe best way possible. But before you do that, then I should probably explain to you what makes this character really interesting, because what my plan and what I actually put into this design was the idea that after he would break out of this coral skeleton, then it would get revealed to Hornet and the player that this is not a normal shrimp. This is a very bizarre shrimp in that he has a gigantic menacing claw on his right hand and an extremely small, like almost, you can't even see it, it's just a silhouette on his left hand or his left claw. So that despite his very maybe humorous personality, I even thought that maybe this could be like a kid, or at least just some sort of personality that wouldn't fit the bearer of this giant menacing weapon. And it's the very typical trope of like someone who is not like, who doesn't look very strong is actually in reality very strong. We see that a lot in tropes in movies and such. So we would kind of go through the same thing here, where we would underestimate the character thinking they looked stupid when they were stuck in the rock, but then when they actually got out they were kind of like menacing now that they had this gigantic claw. And then they could actually maybe be like Cloth from Hollow Knight, and they would come in and help you in boss battles later. I thought that'd be kind of cool. But now I know that a bunch of you are kind of wondering, sitting out there like, why a gigantic claw? Why does he need a gigantic claw? Isn't that kind of out of nowhere? And no, it's not, because I actually got this idea from a creature that exists in real life, and a creature that I heard about, but I had to brush up on my knowledge on it. But this creature, or this design, is based on the shrimp called the pistol shrimp. It's an extremely freaking cool, in my opinion, it's one of the coolest animals on Earth, because basically they kind of look like this. They have this big claw. It's not as big in comparison to their body as I made in this design, but they still have like one big claw and one small claw, and the big claw basically can snap so quickly underwater that it creates like a bubble gun that almost like shoots an explosion with almost the heat of the sun for an instantaneous second. That like completely stuns and wipes out their prey. It's really, you know, in my opinion, that's really freaking cool. Y'all thinking Thanos is cool for using the snap, but here I am just thinking about the pistol shrimp who can shoot freaking explosions like Bakugo from My Hero Academia or something. But you know, that's pretty much all that I got for this design. I just thought it would be cool to actually have like a good guy who's very strong, and especially like a comic relief character that's strong, that's on our team or something. The only character that I can think who was at the same power level as Hornet or the Knight in the original game would be someone like Quarrel, but we never saw him fight, so we can't even confirm that. But it would be cool to have someone who's just really strong, but just does not know how to use their power well. On your team. So maybe there would actually be, maybe their trope or their quirk would be that they would be extremely strong, but he would just not be able to use his abilities right. So every time he would like try to help you in a boss fight, you think, oh, he's coming to save me or he's coming to help me, and then he would maybe like snap and he would use the water explosion to blast himself up into the roof or something, where he would be dangling for the rest of the match or something. I see many comic relief like usages for this character, and I just thought it could be something kind of cool and quirky in comparison to all the more serious characters that I've made in these prior speed paints. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got to say for this character. That's all the thoughts I had, but don't you dare leave just yet, because I want to hear your opinion on it as always. I want to hear some names. I want to hear you guys come up with some freaking names for this character. If you got any right off the top of your head, remember to write them in the comments. I want to hear you guys' opinions on what like the story for this character could be. How could they context and story-wise be implemented into the game? Do you think some of the ideas that I mentioned were good, or do you have your own completely different ideas? I don't care. I want to read all of it. I really love this kind of back and forward design process, and we've done this a bunch of times with my speed paints, and it has done nothing but just, you know, encourage interaction between you and me, and then just get some real creative thinking going among the community. And I'm an absolute advocate for that. So I wanna motivate that or encourage that as much as possible. But anyways, leaving it off at that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.